guys, and welcome back to Around the Scene, presented to you by Playing with Rockets. I'm your host, Ryan, and joining me, as always, is Daddy Perino. How are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing just splendid, Ryan. It is so wonderful to be back on this show, doing this with you for the first time in a long time. It's really, really great, I have to say.
Yeah, it has been quite some time. But guys, welcome. This is season 2 of Around the Scene, and we are so happy to be back with all of you. It's been a while, Perino. It was kind of crazy there for a bit because we were doing this regularly, and then I believe it was a little bit after Worlds got canceled. I think that you and me kind of stopped doing the show. And for me personally, for both of us, I know that COVID affected both of us a lot. And so that was a big part of why we kind of stopped doing the show. I love doing it. You love doing it. But I mean, I'm really excited to be back, honestly.
Yeah, it was really tough because everything sort of happened at once. If you think back, and this was such a long time ago, realistically, if you think back to February of last year, we had, I was doing Twitch, I was doing live casting work, I was doing Around the Scene.
Yeah.
We had plans to go to Dallas for, that would have been the season 9 or 5,
I was so excited for that too, because we were gonna do like a live episode of the show there and everything too.
Yeah, we were gonna have a whole weekend to just get everyone in an Airbnb. We were gonna bring all of our stuff. Like it felt like, okay, it's finally working. Like the path is there. Things are good, and like we have like all these events planned out. And honest to God, I think it was no more than a week. Like when the pandemic first started, and again, it's kind of crazy because it really feels like a lifetime ago. But when it first started, it was just instantaneous. Dallas is canceled, and then I get texts from my producers, this event is canceled, that event is canceled, this upcoming one is canceled, and all of a sudden it went from like having a set path to literally like floating in the ocean in the middle of nowhere. It was really, really bad. I will be the first to say that, like, I have a lot of pride, and I don't really talk about like the struggle that was at the very beginning, but I lost everything overnight, and I love doing the show, but it was way too much. It was way too much to try and continue to do this. I was very, very out of place for a while.
And I mean, it's just part of what the pandemic did to everybody. Is it just it kind of knocked you off your feet. Anything that you did normally, you couldn't really do it anymore. And so whenever we first started kind of talking about the pandemic as things were unfolding, because I think we probably finished doing the show like May-ish or June, not June, because I think June is when things were like in full swing, like we're in pandemic mode, like places are shut down entirely now. Like I want to say it was probably May-ish.
If you take a look, I'm gonna pull up our Spotify. If you look at our last published episode,
our last published episode, gosh, feels like I'm opening up the coffin to look in.
Kind of a little bit. But that's what we're doing actually. So the last published episode was from February of 2020. Now, what ended up happening was that we had other episodes recorded after. They just never got published.
Yeah, that's what it was.
For one reason or another. So somewhere out there might even still be, hidden Around the Scene episodes that just never got published.
I don't even know if I have them anymore, honestly. If we did,
it got really rough. I'll be the first to admit it. It was bad. I think now, after about a year and a half, it's a long time.
It feels crazy. I think that was so long ago. It's been over a year since we did the show.
Yeah, but we've done a little bit, Ryan, in that time. I have to say, it was it was rough for us early, but we sort of made some plays here and there, at least within the Rocket League scene.
Hey, you know, whenever you hit adversity, you find a way to grow with it, learn from it, improve in some way. I mean, how much can you really learn from the pandemic other than just wash your hands? But I mean, yeah, we've been doing a lot though. I mean, I've been doing a lot more collegiate Rocket League casting and stuff. We both ended up, you know, working with Team Envy for the grid after we did a couple casts with the Susquehanna Sonics, and that ultimately didn't work out, unfortunately. But then we landed in a home with Team Envy, and that's been a blast. That has been one of the coolest things ever. I think both of us, whenever we got the opportunity, were pretty surprised. We were like, what?
Yeah, it was a big step up.
But that's been awesome, and all the people at Envy are just so cool to work with. Dunn, Pistachio, or Mr. Pistachio, you know, all those guys are just so cool to work with, and I'm super grateful that we've gotten the opportunity. We got to cast a lot of high-level Rocket League because of it. I got to have a chance to cast the Argentina closed qualifier for the Intel World Open. We've been making moves, man. We've been working.
Yeah, I actually went to
Yeah,
Dallas.
you went. I forgot you went to Team Envy too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had the chance to go to Dallas. This was only, again,
One of the
COVID
first
time really screws you up.
in-person broadcasts.
Yes, so I was back in studio for the first time in about a year and a half. I went to Dallas to Team Envy's headquarters, right outside the American Airlines Center there, where the Mavericks play. Got to meet Turbo Pulsa, casted with him, and did the Predator Cup, you know, which was like a streamer invitational sort of thing, and got to work with Turbo. I got to meet Dunn and Captain McFly and all of the rest of the Team Envy guys, all of the production side. They were all there. Got to sit in the studio next to the big, you know, Jack Link's Yeti that they have in there. It was actually the experience of a lifetime. It was so cool. But that's like, you know, one of the things that, you know, we've just had the opportunity to get to do, and like that's really, really cool. I'm wearing the hat right now. For anybody listening on audio, you're not going to be able to see it, but you know, for those watching on YouTube, you know, yeah, it's been pretty neat. I got to say, it's been fun.
Yeah. Also, since we last recorded, our audio setups have both improved drastically. So this hopefully sounds better for everybody. But
it'll be interesting to go back and listen to
I'm not doing
episode
that.
Of ours.
No, I'm not doing that.
I literally just got this microphone, and Ryan will attest this. I just got this yesterday. So
we were doing
I have a very new toy.
Literally right before we recorded this, I was working with him to set it all up.
It's not easy, man. I'm not an audio engineer.
I only know
trade.
this stuff now because it's part of my new job that I do. You know, courtesy of the pandemic, I got a new position within the YMCA, so now I am with their marketing team. I film commercials and stuff, and so that's a piece of why you know, we have like the improved look and everything. Is like both of us have had huge amount of knowledge instilled with us over this past year, just in work for our jobs or in casting. We've just learned a lot. So hopefully this leads to a better looking product for you guys at home. And with that, man, are you ready to start kicking off season 2, right?
Yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Nothing like digging right back in, man.
Yes, sir. Guys, we're going to be dropping new episodes every single Thursday for you to get your fix on all things Rocket League. If you like this, be sure to follow us on Twitch, YouTube, your podcast service of choice, and also be sure to follow us over on Twitter. That's going to be at PWR_leagues. We're probably going to have to change that since we're not really doing leagues so much anymore. This is still under the Playing with Rockets name, though tournaments are probably not going to be coming back anytime soon just because neither of us really have the time for it, or anybody else who was a part of Playing with Rockets. They're all still a part of Playing with Rockets, but the odds of us going and running tournaments from ground up probably not going to happen again. So we may change it to a different handle, but for now, you can go follow us there. If you want to be a part of the show, you can drop us questions, comments, all those things over there on Twitter. We're not going to be doing live episodes this time so that we both have the chance to kind of polish the episode, make it look a bit nicer. We're going to try and do some live episodes more as like specials I would say. But I think we're going to probably keep this more recorded format. So we'll be recording like on Tuesdays, and then the episodes are going to go out on Thursdays. So if anything happens on Wednesday or, afternoon Thursday, that's why it won't be in the episode, just because it'll have happened after we've already done the recording. But, Rocket League tends to move quickly, so the inevitability that you are going to miss something.
We're going to miss this.
It is what it is, and we'll talk about it in the following episode. But with all that said, we have a cool 4 items here on the news segment. Let's jump right on into it. So first up, Season 3 rewards are back, man. They're decals. I don't know how into decals you are, but we're going to switch on over here so you guys can take a look. So let's refresh the page, and you guys can just take a look at the decal. So it's like the bronze decal. I didn't even put you in this page.
Oh, no, my camera. You're missing my beautiful face, Ryan, for all the people that are watching.
Hang on. I can add you. Don't worry. I'm going to be quick about this for those of you who can't see this.
Live production, by the way.
Yeah, live production. Totally.
Yep. So for the audio listeners, the decals look pretty much exactly the same as Season 1. Again, you have to remember that, we've come to the new season system since the last recording of this podcast, so it's a little out of sorts. Oh, am I being cropped in?
You're being cropped
Look at me
in
go.
right now.
Oh, boy.
Is, screw doing everything in post. I can just always, do it all right here.
Yeah, you just give me my moment to shine. I can talk about the decals that nobody's going to wear. People are going to complain for reasons, despite the fact that nobody actually uses them. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like where I'm at with it. How many games, in your ranked lobbies do you see somebody actually using any of the rewards? The only time that I notice it, honest to God, the whichever season they did the banners, I think it was old Season 7 or old Season 8, one of the two. The old school like GC banner is really nice.
Yeah. Oh, wait, hang on.
That one I see and I'm like, oh, like that's pretty sick. I don't really see ranked rewards being used ever. Thank you for bringing my face back in.
Yeah, your face is back in. I decided to rerun the deal so people can see what the decals look like. Honestly, I think that the the season rewards, they are what they are at this point. I think most people, they accept, you're either for them or you're against them. It is what it is. I think out of all those, though, I think I like the GC reward the most. That red decal looks pretty neat, actually. I also like red on my cars, so that is maybe why I'm biased towards it.
Yeah, and I was actually about to point out, I really like the SSL one as well. So,
yeah,
of course,
it's got like that purple tint to it. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, of course, the top 2 ones are the ones that,
Of course, they look the best.
I mean, yeah, why wouldn't they?
Yeah,
I just, it's so funny because as much as things change, they stay the same. I'm pretty sure the last time that we covered season rewards in this podcast, pretty sure it was exactly the same thing. It's like people complain because they're one thing or another, and then nobody uses them either way. It's like, at some point, like, I guess
I finally hit champ. I'm finally a champ level player. I will probably use the champ decal just because it's a milestone when you finally get the champ, I think. At least it is for me. That's like been the thing I've been working towards for a long time. So I'll probably rock the decal for a while, and then I'll probably go back to whatever I've been using. I think, honestly, I started using the Team NV decal so much that I stopped caring what my car looked like.
Yes.
I don't think I've really messed with my setup in like the past several months.
Yeah, I just run, I have the titanium white octane with the Team Envy decal and titanium white Zombas. And then I changed the boost color based on the team that I'm on. So blue standard for blue.
The only difference for me on that is I think I use the Mendoza Pro wheels that we got for still purchasing the tickets for Season 9. Even though there wasn't a land to go to, they still handed out those wheels. So I use those wheels because I think they look really awesome, actually.
But I don't remember. I definitely bought tickets to go. I don't remember if I have.
Should have gotten an email with the code in it, and if you didn't, I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, I went to the season 7 in Newark, so I have those. And
Mendoza Pro.
if I were to, listen, cosmetics in game are so beyond me at this point. It's kind of depressing because
well, it's also there's just so many. Honestly, like I think that the season rewards are like a cool thing. In the instance like for me where it's like it's the first time you finally reach that rank, you kind of have something to show for it to the world, but you get tired of whatever that reward is pretty quickly, and you move back to whatever random item it was that you like anyway. That I mean, even with these rocket passes, there's so many items that you get. You get it like. If you actually purchase the Rocket Pass, you're walking away with minimum 70 items. If you complete, like most people who get it, they're going well beyond the 70th rank. You're getting like 70 items total though.
Way too many for me. I keep it really simple.
You don't use half of them. You're never gonna use half of the Rocket Pass items.
I don't know. I always just find this discussion humorous because I did see it a bit on Twitter and the subreddits today about the rewards, and a lot of people complaining that they look pretty identical to the season 1 decals that they came out with, which is true.
That's fair.
Given that they stick to the same color principle where they match the decals to the ranks, and that what always gets me, and this is so funny, is you'll see the comments like, oh, it's time to, finally abandon the principle of doing white for SSL and red for GC and purple for champ and blue for, and you see that and it's like, oh, time to get away from that. And then the one season they actually did that.
Yeah.
Everybody complained. They were like, oh no, now the grand champ reward is,
I remember that.
Green or whatever.
It was like the shoot, what was it? The player banners. Or they gave
it was the player banners because the rainbow one is the GC one.
I remember that, and I was like, I don't understand why it matters. You're really not going to use it, and it sucks for Psyonix because it's not like they win on it either way.
No,
I don't think there's anything they could do that's really going to make. You're not going to make everybody happy, and so honestly, I say just keep picking something, throw it out, move on. It's cosmetics at this point. Who cares? But you have until August 11th to try and earn your rewards. So if you're trying to make that push to Diamond, Platinum, GC, SSL, whatever it may be, you have until then to try and do that so you can claim those items. I don't know about you, Perino. I'm already set, though. I got Champ rewards. I'm happy. There's no way I'm pushing up to Champ 2, let alone GC.
Likewise, there is about a 0% chance I hit SSL this season, so there you go.
But that's going to conclude that piece. We're going to move on to the next one. This is a little bit older, but we wanted to talk about it kind of as a startup to the show because you and me, I believe we did talk. I believe this was something we talked about before we stopped doing the show, was the Intel World Open.
Yes.
I believe that was all announced before you and me even stopped the show. So that has now concluded. Unfortunately, there was no LAN that happened. Big sad on that. But we do have, the results here. So for they split up. It was the Americas, the EMEA region. Help me out with that. Is that
Europe and Middle East?
Europe and Middle East. Thank you.
And Africa, maybe?
Africa. Europe, Middle East, Africa. Yep, that's correct. Then we have Asia mainland. Then we have Asia Maritime and Oceania. I believe this was Japan. No, maybe Asia mainland was Japan. Yeah. So we'll just go back to the start. So Americas, no surprise there. The top two teams were United States and Canada. Did you see the post on the Rocket League? I think it was a Rocket League subreddit or the Rocket League esports subreddit about the guy who thought Canada won.
Yeah, so there was a post that got circulated around. So ultimately, it ended up being the United States and Canada in the grand final. And of course, what happened in the semifinal was that they played one another. U.S. swept Canada. Canada was dropped to the losers bracket. For anyone that follows Rocket League esports, to more than like a basic capacity.
Yeah.
The double elimination bracket is not a foreign concept.
It
so
is
you'll know
baked
that
into the Rocket League DNA at this point.
Right. So you'll know that if Canada dropped to the losers bracket and then got to the grand final, they have to win it twice, basically, for the bracket reset. So if they want to win the whole thing, they got to beat the United States twice. So there was a post where Canada actually came out rocking. So this is the roster of Squishy, J-Naps, and Illusion, which, by the way, I don't know if you caught any of the games. So much fun to watch these two teams. So US was Garrett, First Killer, and Chicago. So definitely a true mix-up team there for both sides. Really, really great Rocket League. So much fun. Definitely the best matchup I think we could have gotten.
Yeah.
And Canada smoked the U.S. in the first set. And so there was this post of this guy who watched the first set and celebrated as though Canada had won the entire thing. So, he was like super excited. He was telling all of his IRL friends, like, Canada won this thing. Like, they beat the U.S. And, it's kind of an upset victory. I mean, I definitely think the U.S. team is probably still a little bit favored there, but not by much. Both teams really good. And was all like super happy about it. And then he woke up the next morning and saw that,
the U.S. won.
The U.S. was the winner, and he was like, "Why is the United States being listed as the winner everywhere?" Canada came out and
he was like, "Oh, why is it saying this? I saw Canada win last night."
You saw them win once. In fairness, couldn't do it twice.
Oh man, but like he said, he's like, yeah, I got drunk afterwards and stuff. Like, the post is hilarious. If you get the chance, go look it up. I think it was on the Rocket League esports subreddit, and it was really funny just to see that. Not because like the guy was dumb or anything. It's just one of those things that is like we've all been watching Rocket League esports for so long that. To assume, like, when you see that, it's like one of the first things that we do, I think, now is look, is it double lim or not? Like, I feel like that's one of the first things I look for is, are we doing a double elimination or are we doing, like groups to a single lim? Because we like to jump back and forth between the two, depending on what the event is. But I just thought that was the funniest thing ever. I was like, yeah, I don't know how you make that mistake.
Well, you make that mistake with a little bit of alcohol and a very
true.
Casual understanding, Hey, listen, if you're watching it, it says grand final and Canada wins the first set. You're like, all right, they won the grand final.
That's
game.
game.
If you didn't know any better, makes it easy. It's kind of funny because we talk about the translation between, Rocket League as a quote unquote casual esport to follow, right?
Yeah.
In the sense that, it's very easy to get picked up. You don't have to know too much about the game to get the concept, but that's one of those things that doesn't necessarily translate because I can't think of any traditional sports that use a double elimination bracket. I think you'd be really hard pressed to find something that follows that model.
There isn't. I'm pretty positive.
I'm sure there's like something, and I'm gonna get flamed on Twitter for not knowing, but like for the major North American sports, no.
None that I've ever seen do that, and it's not even something that you would. But like, and like the thing is too, though, is like for traditional sports, you almost can't do that because then you're asking these players to put so much stress on their bodies,
right,
and stuff that it's like you couldn't possibly do that. Not to say that you're not putting stress on people when they do esports, but it's a little different. But yeah. So that was just a funny thing about it. The only other thing about this that I'd like to say, though, is so I got to cast the Argentina close qualifier to find out like who's representing Argentina. I was so sad that they didn't do better because I really loved being able to cast that one. And the team that actually ended up representing Argentina was 2/3 of true neutral.
Right. We're very good, and we'll talk about them in a little bit.
So I was like, oh, surely this is going to be a fire team going up against them. But then again, like Brazil, that's where all the South American like best players are. Argentina is the up-and-coming region, but Brazil's like the number one currently there. And so when they face off, it goes 3-0 in favor of Brazil. I was like, dang it, I really want Argentina to qualify. But it was a cool thing. I was happy to see how that went. But then moving over to Europe, Middle East, and Africa, it was who else but France that won. I don't think you would find a single person who would be shocked that France won, even if it wasn't team vitality representing France. I think if you had just grabbed any 3 French players, nobody would have been shocked. Nobody.
Yeah, it's all about that French esports synergy. It translates across all the different titles: CS:GO, Rocket League.
France is just like an esports capital.
It really no, but there is something that they have there. I don't know what exactly it is, but they definitely build like these, French/Belgian on occasion teams, where they really seem to do well when they all play together. And obviously, can't stop the dop.
True. And he got MVP, of course. The only thing that I can really say on the Middle East, Europe, Middle East, and Africa tournament is the group stage is terribly set up. This Group B is stacked like no other. And then you had Group A with both Czech Republic and South Africa. Like, that just doesn't make sense. Like, it didn't make sense to do that. Like, you should have been, like, Germany should have for sure been over here at least in Group A. If not, some other change up here. But again, that was one of the critiques that I had, was just they did random seeding for the group stage, which I didn't like.
Yeah, and that's one of those weird things too, that also translates from traditional sports. So if you think of like the FIFA World Cup, it's probably either that or the Olympics itself, right? It's supposed to be an Olympic style event. The draws, that the way that they do it, I don't know how this was seeded. I don't know if it was totally random.
It was random. It was random. I can assure you it was random.
Because typically what you would see is you would have qualified teams put into certain pools. So like for the Euros, for example, they have all of these countries qualifying for the spots, and depending on where you finish in the qualifiers, that puts you in a certain pool. So then each group is pulled from like a team that did like really well, a couple teams that did okay, and then one team that did really poorly. Well, I say really poorly, but like barely qualified, I guess would be, in that sense. And that makes a lot more sense when you see it this way. I know there was like some drama where the match between Norway and South Africa, I believe, the South African team got slaughtered, more or less. If you take a look there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The South Africans were playing on like really egregious ping. You got to think of like, okay, where are these countries actually? In the place of the world?
South Africa compared to Norway, that is such a geographically
it's literally a world away.
Huge shift. Which that's the other thing too, though, that I find kind of weird, that they did Europe, Middle East, and Africa all together. I found that a little strange that they did all those together. I understand geographically it probably makes the most sense, but then you also have issues like this. But granted, technically for the Americas too, it's the same thing of you have Canada versus Argentina or something,
right.
So I think you would have run into the issue no matter what you did, and that's the most unfortunate part about no LAN.
Yep. And it kind of stinks for these teams. So like for the South African team, for example, where you get a chance to really like represent your country. These are guys who have obviously never played at any like super high level, because you can't. There's no RLCS region for them. And it just really is unfortunate that they're already at a disadvantage, right? Not having a fully competitive region, and then you also stack on the fact they're playing on probably like 300 ping or whatever it had to be from where they live. It's like,
well, and I don't think Africa has the best server locations either.
Right. So the routing would really be tough too. So it's not even the server locations necessarily; it's the routing. To try and connect to a EU server, even like a Middle Eastern server, if they try to do it midway. I don't really know what exactly they did, but it was really rough. Those kids were playing on horrible ping, and like they kind of got slaughtered. And there was a little bit of drama because basically some of the players on the Norwegian side basically said, like, why are they even here? We could have just taken another EU spot, blah, blah, blah. It's like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, but also, again, I think this would have been a much more interesting event on land as it was intended, for everyone to go to Tokyo and do that. For the record, this is the Intel World Open. The Tokyo Olympics that have been scheduled are also like just gearing up now. People are like getting into Tokyo and doing that. So
yeah, it's
all kind of out of whack.
It's crazy. Yeah, that's the one thing too, though, is you wish this could have been in person because it would have given these guys a fair chance. But then also like to badmouth them too, it's like that's so disrespectful because, I mean, like South Africa, Czech Republic, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Uruguay, all these other teams that don't really have representation or have the ability to compete in RLCS always because, they're just not at that level or they don't have the actual ability because RLCS isn't offered to them yet. It's so unfair because it's like, they're trying, they're doing their best. I mean, Saudi Arabia is the one very unique factor amongst. They're probably the one outlier, I would say, among any region that is not in RLCS currently because they are so good while not having RLCS. But, I mean, otherwise, like you'd expect, these other regions, they're struggling because they don't have that level of competition yet. And my hope is that they get it soon, but, that's a conversation for a different time. But, yeah, terrible to say some of that stuff if that's true. But moving on, Asia mainland, Japan managed to take this one. This was I believe, Asia mainland and Asia maritime and Oceania. They went 4 teams representing because they ended up having like doubles, like 2 Singapore teams and stuff. But Japan ended up taking it. Japan went 3-0 through the group stage, and then So I see how they did the setup. Okay, got it. But yeah, they did good.
Yeah, I will be the first to admit I didn't watch any of this, so I can't really make a comment.
I went back and watched the
pretty
VOD.
dramatic.
This happened when this one would have been airing. It was technically 6 a.m. your time, I think, is when it ended, and 5 a.m. my time is when it ended.
Yeah, I work a full-time job. I was not watching at 6 a.m. for
I had to go for the
Asia
VOD.
mainland Intel World Open. Sorry.
Yeah.
You can only ask so much of me, Ryan, okay?
It started at 1 a.m. your time, midnight my time. So if that's any indication,
it's gonna be a no from me.
Didn't watch it. But Japan ended up taking it. Japan consists of Realize, Maru, and Tenhao. And Realize is like one of the best Japanese players. If you ever look into Japan, so he's incredible. I would have been surprised if Japan hadn't won it, just because I'm not super familiar with anybody on these other teams. But I mean, I don't think there's too much we can say on this one, unfortunately.
Our knowledge gap isn't that big. I don't think it's going to get much better for the next group either. It's kind of stuck in the same spot where this is.
Well, this one's a little bit better because it's Australia, New Zealand. So, like, we know Kami, we know Express and Torsos. It's once you get to Indonesia that I think we're a little lost.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, Australia taking this one. Again, not too much of a shock. I will say it was kind of surprising that New Zealand lost to Indonesia.
Yeah, that's a shock.
You see that down there? Again, hard to say because I didn't watch the games, so I don't really know.
When they faced off in the group stage, it was a 3-1 in favor of New Zealand. Close games, though. They were all 1-goal games and 3 OTs. So that's actually really close. To see them 3-0, though, that's impressive. Yeah, still 1-goal games. That's interesting.
Closer than I thought, apparently.
Yeah. But then you get to Australia, and Australia, I would imagine, is going to have a much easier time just because of, again, like there's that Worlds experience, with Express and or I believe Express has Worlds experience, but Torsos for sure does.
Yes, I believe Express would have made it with Ground Zero.
Yeah.
Right?
I can't remember entirely.
Listen, it's
all been a bit. It's been a bit.
Since we've had a Worlds LAN, yes, it has.
But I think that pretty much concludes Intel World Open. It was cool. I really wish that we could have had the in-person LAN experience, but that kind of is what it is. Moving on to the next piece, though, is the search for the next Rocket League team, Perino. I don't know why they're searching for the next Rocket League team when it seems like they're searching for a Rocket League team.
Yes.
So do you know too much about this? Have you seen much about this? Do you know?
Yeah, I've seen it around. So
okay. I wasn't sure how much you know on it.
Oh, well, if you'd like to explain it to our audience who may not know, Ryan, that would be tremendous.
Yeah, I'm cool. So for those of you who don't know, the search for the next Rocket League team is a event in which they are going to be, I'm not even going to bother trying to show it just because it's not the easiest thing to read. But it is a tournament that is being held here in North America, and it is to find the best current uncontracted Rocket League team, it seems, in which Beasley Esports, which is the owner of the Houston Outlaws Overwatch team, they are trying to get into Rocket League. And so they're doing this event to try and figure out who they want to represent, who they want to represent them. So there is not necessarily a prize pool for whoever wins as much as there is a 1-year contract per player worth up to $5,000 per month. So whichever team wins, they're going to get each player is going to get offered a 1-year contract to represent the Houston Outlaws. I don't know. I don't think they're going to use the Houston Outlaw name since I think that's like specific to Overwatch. I don't think trademark wise it works.
Correct.
They could use
They
it here.
cannot.
So whatever they decide to transition to, it might be Beasley Esports that they just keep it as. I don't know. So we'll just assume Beasley Esports for the sake of argument, though. So whoever wins, they're going to be represented by Beasley Esports. They will represent Beasley Esports, and depending on how good Beasley Esports feels they are, they can get paid up to $5,000 a month for that year.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of interesting discussion about this. So first of all, I think it's still really cool that there are esports orgs out there willing to invest this kind of offer into the scene outright. The fact that we are still picking up orgs along the way is really cool. At this point, like most of the top level teams, again, we've been gone for a minute. The teams that have entered the space in the time from when we last recorded an episode to now is crazy.
Yeah.
If you look at the difference from a year and a half ago to today, it's outrageous. So I think it's still cool that we are still, despite the fact that the top teams all are signed to top orgs, getting people interested in making this kind of endeavor. The way that they're going about it has drawn some skepticism, primarily for a couple reasons. So one, just straight up doing a tournament and then offering it to the winner of that tournament is not necessarily indicative of future results, right?
Yeah.
So we see this all the time. It's possible that a team can just pop off one weekend and win the whole thing and then never do anything ever after that. Yeah. Similarly, there could be a team that has been stellar and is much better than everyone else, but then they have one off day.
Yeah, get second
and they
or
don't
third.
Get it. Yeah, so you're banking on the fact that you're going to get a team that is at least somewhat consistent, because here's the other part of this. It's not as though we're in a system where they're guaranteed a spot in RLCS. You still have to qualify for the events for Season 11, provided they still keep it the same open circuit format, which I haven't seen anything otherwise. They still have to go and qualify for every single event. So there's no guarantee that after this team gets signed, they even qualify for an RLCS event. hopefully they do, for their sake and for the organization's sake, and for everyone's sanity that's working over there. But yeah, it's a lot of risk. I think it's a lot of fun. Certainly has to be a tremendous amount of stress on the players, because there's another element too of, okay, depending on when the qualifiers are in the offseason and when the tournament is, players are still making decisions about who they actually want the team with.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's
whoever ends up winning,
this.
that means you're stuck with that roster. And you may, but I would assume that, if you're going into it, you're probably already feeling pretty good. Like, these are people who you'd be happy to probably stick around with for a year, you hope.
But that's not guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed.
You know how it is.
It's not guaranteed, but I'm curious. And the contract, it says a year contract, is what it says in their stuff that they put. So I'm just gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and say they'll follow through and do that. Skepticism and any critique aside, I think this is a fun way to do it. I think this is a fun way to have an org come in and pick a team that they want to represent. They're not trying to base it off prior results. They're basing it off of, how good are you right now? Like you said, there's a lot of downsides to it. I'm trying to keep an open mind on it for the most part. I agree with you on a lot of your points, Perino. I just think that at the end of the day, it's kind of a stupid fun way to do it, honestly. And
yeah,
I'm excited that the Outlaws are choosing Rocket League to be the second esport they diversify into. So I think that speaks volumes to Rocket League in and of itself. Yeah, it's got its flaws. It's got its problems. We can talk about those all day. I just think it's fun, honestly. I think it's a cool way to go about it.
Yeah, and in fairness, I think the critiques that I have offered really are
I think they're all very
I've
valid.
They're valid. My personal opinion on the issue is just good for the team who wins it, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right.
Like
There's
all
no
of the-
uncertainty. It's just go win.
Yeah. Yeah, just win, and great for them that they do it. Listen, having a guaranteed contract, and even if it's not the full $5,000, I don't know how they're gonna work that out. That's a bit more suspect to me. It's like up to 5,000. Like, okay, what does that really mean?
Actually, 500.
Right. Yeah. Up to $5,000. Okay, so $1 a month. Yeah, sounds great. Yeah. So, provided it's like a reasonable contract, there's nothing to suggest that they wouldn't do it. But again, you never know.
Yeah.
Crazier things have happened in Rocket League too, for that matter.
True.
So, I just think it's great for the team that wins it. I would just be very happy to be one of those players. Listen, it's hard to get good orgs.
Yeah.
It's hard to get paid. You and I both know that personally.
Yep.
And congratulations in advance to whoever ends up picking up that contract.
Yeah.
That's a sweet way to do it.
Well, and it's even knowing that, like, it's not just some kind of rickety new organization. Like, you're getting a Houston Outlaws franchise organization that you're representing. Like, that's a huge thing. So you know that there's, like, really good backing behind you if you win it and stuff. It's like the money's great, and I don't get me wrong, but just like knowing that you have such a massive system behind you, I think is a huge boost as well. But I'm with you. Congratulations in advance over wins, because you're going to be hopefully you guys can tolerate each other for a full year. We'll find out on that. Knowing how Rocket League goes at times.
Yeah. At times, yeah.
Yeah. And then our final piece of news is not really as big, but I just figured I'd throw it in here. It's the DreamHack Beyond Boost Cup. So DreamHack, they're back during the offseason. They'll be doing a couple of online events for Europe, US, and US East. They will also be doing a freestyle competition, it looks like. So it'll be cool. It's DreamHack kind of getting in it again. They'll be, it's the DreamHack production. CJ, who we both know, he's one of the main guys in the production booth for them, and they always do a fantastic job. But it's cool because it's 1v1s, 2v2s, and 3v3 tournaments that they'll be doing. I'm excited for it. I think it's cool. Again, it sucks that it has to be online, but circumstances dictate.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, we're starting to see these things come back, but it's taking time, where we're getting our dream hacks back, we're getting certain events to swing back our way. It's taking, it's slow. I think a lot of us are anxious to really get back in. I will say, like, after doing the studio work that I did in Dallas, like, flew out for the weekend, went in, like, did the production, like, came back, 20 or 48-hour trip, like, boom.
Yeah.
It's so nice to be in person. Let me tell you, it's so nice to be in person, and I just hope that we can get back to that point soon. For DreamHack Beyond, I think it'll be really cool. I'm glad that they're opening it up to different game modes as well. Definitely some representation for some players who excel more in the 1s or 2s space. But again, we don't really have too much on that yet because it's still a little bit in the future, but it should be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. I'm excited to kind of see some of those events. But that concludes our Rocket League news. So now we are going to move on into the roster shuffle. I haven't done that in ages.
I bet it sounds really good on our new microphones.
Hopefully, who knows? But our first bit of roster news, again, this is a slightly older piece of news, but still worth mentioning. True Neutral are leaving the SAM region, Perino, and they are coming to North America so they can compete with the North American teams in RLCS.
Yeah, so first of all, big ups to them and their org for making a pretty bold decision, I have to say.
Very bold. Very bold.
It takes a lot of guts to say, we are better than the region we're in, and we are seeking better competition in North America. Again, it's an open circuit style, so there's no limitations on the spots. If they want to compete here, they certainly can, and it looks like they're going to. They've already played in a couple of smaller events. I know they did the Nerd Street summer qualifier for their summer cup event that they do.
Yeah.
And they rocketed right through that. They're good. What can I say? They're really, really good, and they can go toe-to-toe with the absolute best. It'll be really interesting to see how they do over the course of an entire split in North America and RLCS. But I love the inter-regional play. I love that they have the gusto to move out of a, I guess what you could call a comfortable spot. They're definitely the top of South America.
They're definitely trying to push themselves to the next level.
Yeah, and that can be commended both by the org and by the players. The org for believing in them to relocate them, and the players for leaving home and traveling and spending a year in a place that you don't know to play against the best teams in the world. Like, that's really, really cool, and I give them a lot of credit already.
Yeah, they haven't even fully started competition against them, and they're already making waves just with the announcement. They do have a upcoming show match against Shopify Rebellion. So that'll be another one that's a really good indicator of where they stand in the North American landscape. If you had to place them, where would you put them based off of how we finished out season 10 in the point rankings? Where do you think they would have landed?
It's hard to say. I think they're probably around like the number 8 spot. Obviously, there's a lot of variance over the course of time. But you look at the rosters ahead of them. I think some people underrate them just because they haven't really seen them play all that much. If you pay attention to the South American scene, listen, these kids are really talented. I think I'd put them around the 8th spot. Like, I don't see them being better. Obviously, so you have like the top end North America, right? You have your space station.
Yeah,
Envy,
of course.
Energy,
I don't
GT.
see them
like,
competing with them very well just
right,
yet.
I don't
at least.
put them there. But you start to get to like the mid-level teams. Where you start to get to your Shopify Rebellion. Your your Susquehanna Sonics. Like like the teams that sort of finish like in that area, like your E United. Like those teams, I think I put them right in there. in that slot ish, give or take.
I look at the team. I there's kind of parts where I agree with you, and there's parts where I kind of disagree. I feel like I would put them probably 12th, right below XSET. So that means that the teams I'm putting ahead of them are XSET, Version 1, Alpine Esports, Susquehanna Sonics, Shopify Rebellion, and then the top 6, FaZe Clan, G2, all of them. I would say that I think XSET minimum is better than them, just because XSET, like, they came out of nowhere and they put up some great stuff. So points wise, they're not that high up, but that's also because they ended up missing out on an entire major because they didn't qualify for it. Because if you look at their points, like, they didn't start popping off till the spring section after they made some roster moves. But version 1, I think that the way version 1 started doing towards the end of the season, I think that they were probably better. I could see Alpine and Susquehanna Sonics getting beat by them, but I think once you hit number 7, Shopify Rebellion and up, I don't think they beat any of them.
Correct. Yeah, I definitely agree with that point of the assessment. Towards the top end, they struggle, but it'll be interesting to see. It's definitely, a move that will make waves for good reasons, and hopefully they can build a big audience as well. The representation that they're going to get, North America, the audience that they can, showcase themselves for is much greater as well. So I'm looking forward to it. I think they're going to be really good. I think they're going to surprise some people.
Well, I mean, I'm putting them down like at 12, but I easily could see them being anywhere from 12th to 8th. Like, right. I really hope that they end up surprising people, like you're saying. I really hope that they surprise a lot of people. People are like, oh my gosh, who are these guys? Like, where did they come from? And people who don't know so much are going to be like, oh, wow, they came from South America. That's crazy. And hopefully that ends up leading into a shout out more towards South America, and maybe more people pay attention to it. Who knows? One can only hope on that front. But excited for them. Can't wait to see how it pans out. Moving on, though, this is a big one. Verge and Violent Panda have left Dignitas.
Yes, the last player of the original Dignitas dynasty has departed the organization. And so I want to cover VP first and then go into Verge. So for Panda, I think it's tough. Panda's the kind of player, similar to the Turbo Pulsar, where, at this point in his career, like, he's reliant more on, his game sense, his individual, mentality, and positioning and whatnot. I don't know where he's going to end up. He hasn't said as much. I know there have been some rumors about where he might go, where he might not go. It's hard to really say.
Yeah.
I hope we see him again, but I think it's going to be really hard for him to get back into a top team in Europe. I hate to say it, but I don't know. Europe is so volatile.
Yeah, Europe is just
outside of
monster.
Like BDS and Vitality, it's just kind of chaos and queso underneath. So it's tough.
Yeah, Team Queso. What is it like? Last 2 days ago. Oh, they're breaking up. Then the next day, oh nope, the gang's staying together. Day after that, no, we're breaking up.
I'm glad that we are North American based. So
I
we don't
have
have
been
to keep
laughing
up on
so
rumors.
much seeing all these updates from Shift on Twitter because I'm like, okay, you're just making like a daily post about Team Queso now. Team Queso's leaving. They're staying together.
Quick personal anecdote. So during the pandemic, I was broadening my skill set. And I actually did a couple of casts for some European games, and I was working for Rocket Dash, and they were covering an event there that Team Queso was playing in. And I'm a typical American, right? I say queso. It's en español, and hablo un poquito de español. Es el equipo de queso. You really want to accent that that QUE sound because they're Spanish. It's not even like Latin American Spanish. There's different accents, whatever. So I was casting for El Equipo de Queso, and I was getting made fun of by Twitch chat, the Spanish Twitch chat. They were making fun of me for the American accent on queso, and eventually, I was seeing it out of the corner of my eye, and I ended up saying, I don't speak a ton of Spanish, for the record. I know a little bit, and I can fake it kind of okay, based on just the way that I say some words. So I just really quickly said like, "Oh, lo siento, es el equipo de queso. Soy americano, lo siento." You know, I kind of leaned into it. And that was before they really started popping off.
How did Twitch chat react?
Oh, they loved it. They thought it was funny. So I'm glad that I struck a chord with my European Spanish friends. But yeah, their team really, really good at their best, very volatile in their playstyle and very volatile in the offseason, along with the rest of Europe. So I'm glad I don't have to deal with that.
Thank God we don't have to deal with Europe. Verge leaving. I'm curious if it means Verge comes back to North America as a coach. Personally, I think Verge is a phenomenal coach. I would love to see him. I'm trying to think of what all teams don't have coaches currently, and honestly, the only one I keep thinking of is our team, Team Envy. I think they're the only ones that don't have a coach currently that are like one of the top teams.
Right. Hard to say because I don't keep myself updated on coach roster moves as well. He'll find employment of some kind or another. I guarantee.
100%.
And even if he doesn't, he does content creation as well. So he's got that in his back pocket. You know, he can say, all right, fine, I'm just going to do YouTube, Twitch, whatever for the moment. And then if somebody wants to hit me up.
He's got a great opening since Sunless just retired and everything too. So, I mean, you know, he's got space.
Stop it.
No, he retired recently. He made a whole video about it, Perino.
Yeah, I watched the whole video too.
He talks about how he retired.
You
know, I just
Big
want to say
guy.
that Sunless, it's been awesome having you around the scene. You know, your content's always been. He said he wanted novels, Perino. Come on, man.
Listen. We don't cover rumors on this show, and we don't cover clickbait either, Ryan.
That was one of the best clickbaits that man ever could have done.
I will say, so the clickbait was really good. The actual video, if you do watch it, is also really good.
The video itself was weird as hell.
It was enthralling. It's actually one of the first Rocket League videos I've watched like all the way through in a long time. So do check that out. I mean, Sunless is great.
Rocket League. Like the vast majority of that wasn't even Rocket League.
Listen, so you got to do what you got to do. You know, apparently the game's dying in content creation. Views are down, so you gotta.
And here we are making the fantastic move of getting back into it.
Yep, views are down, but listeners are up, baby. Stonks.
I doubt that's the case, but we'll see. And the last.
Fake it till you make it, Ryan.
The last piece of roster news is Furia, the team in South America, are parting ways with Tander, one of the veteran players. He's one of the only South American players with the world's experience, one of the 6 total who have it, since they only got 1 season before the pandemic hit. Right? They only got 1 season? 2 seasons? I think I got 1.
Yeah, I think they only got to do season 8.
Yeah, I think that was their only one. Yeah. A very high level player there for South America. He's for sure gonna find himself a home. No clue where he's gonna end up though. Curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, and this is a weird one. So again, Furia is definitely the biggest organization in South America. They're much more known for their Counter-Strike. But they're very, very big in South America. So that's a very coveted spot, not just to play alongside that roster, you know, with Kaio and Card there, but to get to work with that organization too. You know, there have already been some discussions about it. This news did just break today, I believe. Right? As of the recording of this show.
I can't remember whenever we pulled it up.
I want to say it was today.
It is the most recent one. Yes, it happened today.
Yes. So, yeah, definitely a very coveted spot. I wasn't sure if Furia were going to make a change, given that True Neutral vacated the premises. You know.
Yeah.
It can be really tough. So you would anticipate whoever Kaio and Card pick up, you know, that is the favorite for South America for next season, but be interesting to see who they get. Tough for Tander, I think. You know, but that's just the way this game is, man.
It is. And so, guys, with that concludes the roster shuffle. And with that, Perino, you and me have hit the end of our show today.
Really? Already? Oh, wow. I'm looking at our recording time. We're pretty much at an hour on the nose. That's pretty
Great
decent.
timing.
Listen, we still got it.
I have great timing as a host. I have come a long way in this year, my man. But guys, it has been awesome doing this show with you today. Again, we're going to be uploading the episodes every Thursday. Recordings will happen on Tuesdays. And we will probably do special episodes for Twitch at some point in the future. We would probably do those more as like kind of interview style. But we'll hopefully kind of get more of that stuff hammered out as time goes on. But Perino, do you have any final words for the masses?
Yes, so couple of quick things. For those who are listening along, if you had a subscription on Google Play that no longer exists, we are switching to Google Podcast. That feed is active. If you are listening on Spotify, nothing should have changed for you. If you were still subscribed, you will see a notification whenever you listen to this, right? If you get to the end of the episode, whenever you got it on Thursday of this week, if I look at my calendar here, that would be the 22nd of July. You'll get a notification just as you normally do. YouTube, very simple. Same thing. You'll get a notification. Apple iTunes is the only one that's probably going to be a bit different. We are working on that currently as of the time of recording. We are hoping that our feed is online by Thursday. Give us time. For those of you who listen along on Apple, just know that I love you sincerely because it has been kind of a pain to get our show on iTunes. So if you listen on Apple, please give us 5 stars because I have worked very hard to get this show on iTunes again.
He's just messaging me every day saying, why doesn't Apple make things easy? Why does Apple have to do things this way?
Listen, I don't want to get too far into it, but all I'm saying is,
honestly, though,
if you listen on iTunes, just please thank me because I put in some kind of effort to get it, especially compared to the other services that we offer. So
yeah, all the other services were pretty fast.
Yeah. So again, other couple quick notes. We are still operating under the Playing with Rockets banner. That may change. We are not losing our Around the Scene title. So all of that branding will stay the same. If we do change our socials, we will let you know on the show. Following us on Twitter, that's probably the best place to keep up with it. That is PWR_leagues, LEAGUES on Twitter. What was the other one I was going to mention to that point? If you have anyone that you would like to be on the show with us, you can tag us or tag your favorite friend or whoever, DM us, whatever. I think our first few episodes, Ryan and I will probably go it alone just to get back into the rhythm and into the hang of it. But over time, we'll re-include guests.
Yeah, I think the guest thing, too, we might try to change how we've done that compared to the past. In the past, we typically just ran the show the exact same and just had them kind of join us in the news and everything. I think we might just keep it to where it's just us giving you guys the news. And then when we do guests, it's about the guests rather than whatever the news is, because we would like for you guys to get to know whoever the guest is more. I think so far the only one that we ever really did that with was Sathu. I think Sathu was like one of the only ones that we really did like a more interview style episode with. So hopefully we'll be able to kind of get that. We'll work out those details and stuff as time goes on. But the news piece of this show, we're probably going to keep it just us two. But if you have other casters or people like that who you would like to join us in talking about the news, be sure to let us know. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Most certainly. That's all I got, Ryan.
Just to know you're out there still listening to us.
We are going to try and publicize the return
how many
as much
of you
as we can.
see this?
Yeah, well, that's going to be the hard part for us here, is sort of picking up where we left off. It's not an easy thing to do. We are going to give it our all. Ryan and I are two very committed individuals. We have put in a lot of effort, time, and experience into coming back into our best so that we can give our best to the show. That's what I'll say on that.
And so, guys, with that, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Once again, be sure to follow us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, or any of the various podcast services you can find us on. That way you can stay up to date with all of our episodes, any information, things like that. Guys, this has been Around the Scene, presented to you by Playing with Rockets. We are so happy to be back with you guys. But I'm Ryan, that's Perino, and it's been our pleasure to have you with us. Take care, enjoy the rest of your day, stay safe, and wash those hands. Peace out, guys.